You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 160. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
I'm bored socialite, Jeff Barnhart.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by Rhymes with Geek. You can check out our show, plus many other cool podcasts like the all-new Anti-Fanboy, Feed It Comics, and Super Podcasto Magnifico at rhymeswithgeek.com. Comic Reflections is also a partner with backissueheroes.com, the home of classic comics on the web. And if you enjoy our show, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
Okay.
So the first book we're going to talk about today,
Yes.
Jeffy like a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's What If, number 43, and the story is what if Conan the Barbarian were stranded in the 20th century? Now, this is a sequel to an earlier issue of What If, where he came to the 20th century and had an adventure.
And they show this.
Yeah, they kind of recap a little bit of that, but this is a sequel to that. I was like, what if he didn't get sent back? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a cool concept.
Yes, it is.
This is the lead story. There's a backup story. We'll talk about that later. But this was written by Peter B. Gillis with art by Bob Hall. Batlin Bob Hall, if you recall some of those 1960s or 70s alliterations that Stan Lee liked to use. But yeah.
So we find Conan, which was 4,000 years ago, our Barbarian age. But there was such an age. I don't think so. There were Sumerians, though. More
than 4,000, I think. But anyway.
He comes to the future and he thrives. It's the exact opposite of most of the science fiction time travel stuff.
They do that fish out of water stuff.
Yeah, Less Darkness Falls, I think it was the first one. This guy goes back to when the Roman Empire is about to fall and he saves it. Because he's from the 20th century and he's helping out and he changes civilization.
Wow.
There's also an answer to this about this military policeman goes back into year 1000, meets Vikings, and he's utterly useless. Even though he has a 45 caliber gun and he knows a bunch of stuff about history and all that, he doesn't do anything. He's finally killed, and which is probably what would happen.
Yeah, because you don't have the particular skills to survive in that time, and these are more subtle things. Right. I think, than we tend to think of. Or practical things like, how do I survive?
Right.
How do I live? How would I interact with this society?
But I do love those kind of stories. Those are fun. And this is fun. It's exact opposite. Conan can survive in 20th century America, and it's really neat. And survive and thrive.
Now, when he had to figure out how to make his way, but he does. But we get kind of a recap of what happened to him previously. And does it say what?
20th century, he finds a babe, then he goes on top of the Guggenheim Museum. I wonder why the Guggenheim?
I don't know.
And much like Frank Lloyd Wright. And he gets hit by lightning and gets sent back. And Watcher is telling us the story.
Right. The original story took place in What If number 13, for those of you who want to seek out the back issues.
But this time, the police come and kick his butt and take him to jail.
Yeah. They have to gang up on him because he's Conan, baby. They put him on trial, but then he breaks out of his handcuffs and breaks loose.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He jerks these bars out the window, breaks his handcuffs like.
And the judge just exclaims, he's a supervillain.
Yeah. How I hate New York City. Yeah. Then we show his adventures, and I guess, and it's true, Conan goes to these weird places all the time, so he's not that much messed up by it.
Sure.
And
because think about it, Conan fights monsters and magic and stuff, and warriors and things. So it's just a different country.
Yeah.
He's adaptable, which is interesting.
He grabs them. Oh, look, they leave these knives out. These shopkeepers are stupid.
So he just breaks a window and steals a big hunting knife.
And then he escapes, and the proprietor cannot catch him.
Yeah. So, he had been shot in the arm, and he thought it was magic, but then he digs it out. Oh, it's just metal. So he realizes, they're just slings.
Yeah. It's 42nd Street. I guess this is Times Square. And
Yeah.
man, Times Square used to be this guzzo place.
Now it's a touristy kind of
Yeah, I've
place.
been there as a touristy place. Yeah, there's nothing there to eat that is New York. It's all chains. Maybe and there's nothing New Yorky about it, but it's still fun to go. And,
Sure. I had a good time when I went to New York. Even though I was part of a tour group and I had to do all that touristy crap, I didn't get to go and do things on my own, which that was a disappointment.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right, so Conan's watching this bum get a quarter from this guy, and he remembers how he spoke, so he does this to another guy, and the guy gives him all this cash, but he doesn't know what the paper is.
Yeah.
So he just takes the coins, and then he figures out that the coins are important.
Or the paper.
The paper is important.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So Conan kind of becomes a hoodlum.
Yeah, and he learns English.
Yeah.
And
he says it's not any more difficult than Hyrcanian or anything like that. So
he figures out about cash and pizza.
Yeah.
And then let's see.
So he's kind of moving up in the world of crime, and he goes to pay a visit to his old girlfriend. What was her name?
Oh,
doesn't matter. She's only in like 2 pages.
Yeah, Danette.
Yeah. And Danette? She's named after Roy Thomas's wife, Danette.
Oh.
So.
And he's dressed up like Super Pimp with a cheetah on a leash.
That's a leopard.
Is so cool. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure the difference. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Actually, I can't quite tell either. So, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so Danette does not like Super Pimps. So, and
because she liked Conan for Conan, as he was. So
Conan's ticked off and he throws his stuff away.
So he goes into this gym with all these black guys working out, and he says, "Hey, let's start a gang," and they do.
Yeah, I wonder why he chooses things, but
I don't know. Because remember when he was with Belit and the Black Pirates, the Corsairs. All those dudes that were under Belit's command were black guys, and so maybe it's part of his memory of like, oh, these are good guys to work with.
Yeah,
because they were great shipmates for him to have in those days. So
yeah, so this guy he's talking to, Ajujo.
Yeah,
he doesn't like white guys, so and he is insulted that Conan asked him to be a second command, so they fight. And pretty good battle.
Yeah, and Ajujo is strong, but Conan has the fighting skill, and he just knocks him on his ear, and he says, "Okay,
yeah,
we'll join up with you."
So,
yeah,
and they start these Barbarians gang, which is great. One guy is wearing Viking helmets, and
and a couple guys in like loincloths and stuff. It's so funny.
Yeah, and it's so cool. And
but yeah, they start.
Conan looks good in the vest and blue jeans. And boots.
He looked like he's straight out of the Warriors.
Yeah,
which is a great movie.
Yeah. Oh, people. One guy's got a piccolo. You know those German helmets with the spike coming up.
Yep.
Cool. I always wanted one of those.
So, anyway, Conan and the Barbarians they're moving on up in the crime world.
Yeah, they got protection racket. You know.
Yeah.
We'll protect you for cash, and who are they protecting from? Us. You know, so,
yeah.
He won't allow his minions to rob women. And kids.
Or people who can't afford it. See, Conan has honor.
Right.
You know, so.
And that's a very important part.
So he's. Conan was a thief, a reaver. You remember that whole thing, but he wasn't, a villain.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so everyone's happy, but Conan says, we need to do something big. And so, man, what a dramatic pose he has.
Oh, here. I know. Arm in the air, fingers splayed. I like it.
And it's a little like a halo. He's got his hand over a ceiling light.
Yeah.
Or under it, and it looks like a halo or something, man.
Yeah.
It's just so well drawn.
Yeah, Bob Hall is really underrated.
Yeah.
I think he does a really terrific job. So they decide they're going to rip off some stuff from a museum. And that's going to be a big heist. Captain America is on monitor duty at the Avengers Mansion, which is just a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
And all the Avengers are gone, but Cap says, I'm going to go take care of this.
Cap has a coffee mug that says Cap on it.
You didn't know that?
No. I mean,
I've seen it before.
this is kind of common now, but back then this was uncommon to have your name on your coffee mug. So,
Sure.
But I'm amused. So.
Okay.
And it's kind of cool. So.
Yeah. But Conan meets Captain America.
And they fight. And
Oh,
it's cool.
man, is it great. And they fight with swords.
And shield and fists and yeah.
Oh, man, it's
Very
awesome.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Conan is almost as strong as Captain America?
I think so. I mean, because Captain America, the super soldier serum, he is peak human physical condition,
Mhm.
okay? And it doesn't deteriorate because the super soldier serum keeps him up. But think about it. Conan is that too.
Yeah.
So, and only difference between them is Conan fights dirty.
Right. He fights to win. It's not
Yeah.
too dirty. I mean, he wouldn't stab a guy in the back, I don't think.
Yeah, he might if the person they stabbed in the back was going to hurt somebody,
Right.
you know, that kind of thing that he
Yeah.
cared about.
Mm-hmm. But
Conan slices a sword into Cap's shoulder. Cap's
Mhm.
bleeding. Man, this is intense.
Yeah.
You could see things sometimes in What If or actually all the time in What If that you would not see in a regular Marvel book. You would not see Cap get a sword wound with blood dripping down his arm.
Actually, I think it's less for that, too. And you know,
What do you mean less for that?
I think the regular comics, this happened more often to be more interesting.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Not to say
Well,
that people
I guess
don't get hurt,
they do
but
get injured and all that, but yeah, I don't know. It's really neat. And
yeah. So what is the exchange between Cap and Conan like? I'm trying to remember.
Conan says, "You're valiant and great, but we're not going to stop. We're going to go on." So,
Yeah.
so Cap says, "I'm on the lookout for you now." So,
Yeah.
all right. So, Conan writes a letter to Cap and meet him in this secluded place,
Yeah.
and the cops come.
Yeah.
And Cap is kind of mad because the cops apparently followed the messenger.
Right.
Conan should have known better on that.
Yeah, but he's been lured into traps like that too before.
Oh, that makes it interesting comic books for Conan.
Yeah.
So if he escaped every trap, it'd be, I'm not going to go down that way, I'll go around. It'd make a very boring comic book.
Yeah. Very good.
But, he figures out, he figures out the guns aren't magical, but he still doesn't like them.
All right.
So,
Like MacGyver.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Cap and Conan fight to a standstill, and Cap, rather than take Conan in, he lets him go.
Yeah. Someone's about to shoot Conan, and Cap throws the shield and knocks the gun out of the guy's
And it's a
hand.
cop.
Yeah.
And the cops killed Conan's friend, Ajujo.
Yeah.
So that was important.
No,
but
he had a good death, though. So.
yeah, but they're foreshadowing a possible what if Conan joined the Avengers, became a hero.
That'd be cool.
It would be amazing.
Actually, I wouldn't mind him still being a villain for a while too. It's just cool. Very interesting.
I would love to see this explored more.
Yeah, they could do 100 issues of this, and finding out what money is was cool, but him figuring out how culture is different and all that stuff, it would be really interesting. I love this. This is great.
And in a way, he and Captain America have some parallels, because Cap was a man out of time too.
Right. And both have honor, and I love that. Two men with honor on the opposite sides. Great fighting. It's just really cool. They don't do this more. Movies don't do this very often.
No.
Comic books do it more often than movies. I'm trying to think of something in movies that would.
Yeah.
Some of the World War II movies where the good German who's not a Nazi is fighting against enemy below or something like that.
Here's the thing. The Rat Patrol.
Yeah.
Hauptmann, he wasn't evil. He was a soldier doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the adversary to the Rat Patrol.
Right. Not a very good one. He got his butt kicked all the time. But yeah, he was honorable.
Yeah, and I like that guy. That actor's great. But yeah, this was a terrific story. I enjoyed this a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
We have a backup story.
Yeah. Okay. It's man, differently drawn. My wife would tell me, man, he's got a big head.
Like,
it's a watcher.
Yeah. But this story is called Behold, and it was written and drawn by Mark Grunwald, and inked by Jack Abel, who was a bit of a legend in comics. Mark Grunwald, sadly, he died at like 40 years of age, something like that, of a heart attack. But a much loved figure at Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a lot of memories about reading things that Mark Grunwald wrote or drew. But anyway, this story is kind of connected to the Michael Korvac saga in the Avengers. Korvac was this guy who had all this awesome cosmic power, but his existence threatened the existence of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he destroyed the universe and remade it. And this story takes place during a time when a few characters who are existing in a void are coming together to combat that and escape and bring the universe back. The lead one, of course, being Doctor Strange.
Yeah. The background is white, total white.
Yeah.
And the colors against that look great.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange looks great. Hey, he comes home and there's nothing. Literally nothing.
Yeah.
So he's got a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. He looks cool like that, actually. And he runs into the Silver Surfer, his pal, Norrin Radd.
Hey, something's wrong because Silver Surfer is smiling.
He's always bummed, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, he always is, but he's happy to see Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and then they meet the Phoenix.
Yeah. Did not like the Phoenix story. I read that and
the Dark Phoenix saga. I recently read it actually for the first time. It's weird. I loved the X-Men when I was a kid, but I didn't read it until this year.
I think it was overhyped. If I had just found it, this is pretty good, but this is the greatest thing ever, and it wasn't.
No, it isn't. It is a good comic book story, but yeah, its reputation is too heavy for me to have. Yeah, it's too much hyperbole, but it's good comics.
Right.
Claremont and Byrne wrote some good stuff there. But anyway, so Phoenix, and this is before the Dark Phoenix saga.
Yeah.
I think.
I guess.
Yeah.
So they go around searching for what happened, and they find the Ultimate Nullifier.
Oh, yeah.
Which looks like an old radio.
Yeah. I love the Ultimate Nullifier. It is the prime example of the Deus Ex Machina. Here's a thing that will fix everything or destroy everything,
Yeah. Yeah. This Doctor Strange uses his third eye. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And looking at something.
So it's interesting to see these three characters together, and they kind of talk about Michael Korvac and how that was a thing.
There's this huge armada against them. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's something that happened in the Avengers, and I actually haven't read that story. I just only know it by reputation.
Yeah.
So
really well drawn. I mean, the white blankness of it is really well done.
Yeah, and then Eternity shows up, who is the living embodiment of the universe. But since the universe was destroyed, But anyway.
Yeah, she's dead, and it's Phoenix says it's she. I
never thought Eternity was female. I thought Eternity was male, but maybe whatever.
She called it she.
I know.
I say we respect her wishes. So it doesn't look female, but it doesn't look like much of anything. But
yeah.
So they said, well, what we're going to do, we're going to Eternity wants to be dead and stay dead, and they said, well, I think we ought to respect her wishes. So the other Phoenix and Silver Surfer go off and to another dimensions or eternities, whatever. And Stephen Strange says, I am the leader of this eternity, of the magical realm and all that. If I go somewhere else, somebody's already there, and I'll be hashing his mellow, or harshing his mellow. Which
I was so confused by this, and I didn't know if this was an in-continuity story or if it was a what if. I was just like,
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked the art.
Yeah.
I just was like, I don't understand.
Why couldn't he just go visit? Hey, I'm from another eternity. Oh, you're, he doesn't have to invade. He can just visit, And
sure.
I'd be interested in somebody my rank coming in and checking out everything. And,
sure.
But maybe he knows something about those magic dudes that I don't. So he lets himself die. Mr. Strange.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Man, Conan though was awesome.
oh, good. I'm glad you dug it. I liked it a lot too. Let's we're shift a little gears here. We're going to talk about Kirby monsters, and so we're talking about Where Creatures Roam #8, and this is the final issue of this series.
Oh.
This is a reprint book, one of many that Marvel had in the 70s. It's reprinting stuff from the early 60s, and the lead story is called Where the Mummy Walks, reprinted from Tales to Astonish #31, 1962. Art by Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers.
Mm-hmm. No, it's Kirby, so it's well drawn. We have an archaeologist that has this theory. Says the pyramids we know are copies of an original pyramid that holds a prisoner. Didn't get his. I don't know. I guess he found something out.
Yeah.
But
Like, where did you get this information?
Mm-hmm. So, this bored socialite, and that's where I got the phrase from. You know, I don't think I ever met a bored socialite. Maybe they're hipsters. I don't know. Hipsters are bored, right?
I don't know. Are socialites? They're not circles I travel in, so I don't know.
No, yeah.
I think a socialite essentially means you've got money, you don't have a job.
Yeah.
You have money and you don't have a job.
Yeah. Man.
And,
I call that heaven.
Yeah, right.
I want to be a bored socialite.
Right?
Yeah. All right. He had our archaeologist has a scumbag assistant, you know.
Right. With a pencil mustache, you know, he's evil.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't hire anybody with a pencil mustache. Nope. So they go out looking for the pyramid, and they go through a sandstorm, and they find it. So what do? They blow a hole in it with explosives. So,
that's what archaeologists do, blow stuff up. No.
I don't think they did even in the 20s.
Right.
I think, when they did King Tut's tomb, they did the old-fashioned way, dig.
Yeah. What's wrong with an old-fashioned?
Yeah, right. I love that. From some mad world.
Right.
I think I did enough mads. So,
I think so too.
Okay. So they go in and they find a mummy.
And it's huge. A giant mummy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the scumbag assistant leaves and blows up the entrance, so they're stuck in there.
Wow, what a good plan.
Yeah.
Because, wait, why did he do that?
So they're stuck in there, so he'll get the glory for discovering the pyramid.
Meanwhile, they'll starve to death. How awful. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. But if the mummy's alive, they'll kill him. So so the mummy comes alive, and he's really mad. But he is not a regular mummy. No, he's really big, but he's also a space alien.
A space mummy. So he's not like a mummy, like a mummified dead body. That the wrappings are like his costume, his garments,
or something.
Yeah.
But he was there waiting, and the explosion woke him up. So he came out, and he's chasing those guys, and they lead him outside. And then, he forgets that he cannot breathe earth air, and he dies. But
that's it.
But he also kills the bad guy.
Well, that's good at least. At least he did something right.
Yeah, don't you think he'd have a space helmet?
You think I would? I think I would remember. Oh yeah, I can't breathe the air here. That's why I'm in this thing.
Yeah, you can be really, really mad, I guess, and forget that. But But that's kind of really important. Like, I'm really mad at that fish. I'm gonna go jump in after it, and I'm gonna drown.
Oh wait, I forgot. I don't know how to swim. Yeah.
Or I can't breathe water, or something. It's sort of. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Beautifully drawn. But
yes.
That's a Kirby, so I repeat myself.
Yeah. So there's a couple of stories that we're going to talk about, and I want to talk about them as prototypes for things that came later. Kirby ideas.
What could this be?
And I realized that I read about these stories in a fairly recent issue of the Jack Kirby Collector, and this was brought up by somebody else, and they had a whole article about it. Great magazine. Read it. It's gold. But the story we're going to talk about is Where Will You Be When the Spider Strikes? And it's a reprint from Journey into Mystery, number 73. And it's from October of 1961. Keep that in mind as we progress through this story, okay? It's written by either Stan Lee or Larry Lieber, with penciled by Jack Kirby and inked by Dick Ayers. So let's just talk about this story.
Okay. And
great splash panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big old spider. Anyway.
White Hot Sands of New Mexico. There's a base with a nuclear reactor, and about 20 miles away is a small town where the scientists live. The scientist is sleeping, and a spider gets into his outfit. So he goes to work, goes into the reaction chamber, and the spider escapes and gets irradiated. It sounds familiar.
Radioactive spider?
Yeah, man, I don't like those.
And then the radiation causes the spider to grow and gain super intelligence.
Right.
And so the spider...
No. He becomes intelligent. I'm not sure it's super intelligent.
Well, super intelligent for a spider. It becomes intelligent like a person.
Right.
And intelligent enough to say, I'm going to irradiate other spiders and we're going to conquer the world.
Yeah, okay. That's just your average dumb villain. Alright, we'll see how stupid the spider really is. But he traps the scientist with the spider web, which is true to form. Spider web is very strong for its weight and size.
Right. Comparatively, it's as strong as steel.
Stronger.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And lighter. So pound for pound, yeah.
Yeah, like if you could have steel that thin, spider web is much stronger and lighter.
Right.
So anyway.
Maybe not as hard as adamantium. I'm not sure.
Well, since adamantium is pretend, spider webs and steel are both real.
Yeah, true.
So
okay, the scientists shoot at it and it doesn't work, and they can't cut the spider webs because it's made out of spider web, but it's huge. So
right.
So they try. The phones are out because the spider knows about telephones. So they call on the radio, and the spider puts a kibosh on that.
Yeah, I love that word.
I do too. He throws a building around, and he calls his spider minions, and he's going to just cause all kinds of chaos.
Yeah, because he's going to make them radioactive and grow huge too.
Right. Luckily, one of the scientists sees a ICBM coming, flying, and the spider says, and he mocks the spider. Oh, you can't build something like that. And said the spider says, "Oh, watch this," and he sends his spider fluid up and catches it, brings it down, and kablowy.
It blows up the spider, and so it puts the kibosh on his plans.
Mm-hmm.
Love that word.
Yeah.
And so the radioactive spider dies. The world is saved.
Yeah. Yeah, because he monologued himself to death.
Yeah, he did. But so before we talk about the next story, I want to talk about this because radioactive spider superpowers.
I don't get it. No.
Yeah, right. Okay, but this story is from, as I mentioned before, it's from October of 1961.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, of course, debuted in Amazing Fantasy number 15 in August of 62. The argument can be made that conceptually, the Spider-Man idea was birthed earlier here. Kirby was known for recycling ideas or using earlier ideas and doing a better version of it later. The Challengers of the Unknown were the prototype for the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
Big Words from the Newsboy Legion really gets repeated as Hank McCoy, the Beast, in the X-Men.
Yeah, and Reed Richards.
Yeah. But there's a lot of that. And then it's not bad because it's his borrowing from his own ideas, but it's like doing one thing that's, hey, this is pretty good, and then a larger, cooler idea later.
Yeah.
Now, Spider-Man was not necessarily Kirby's creation, but he had a hand in the creation of Spider-Man and is generally left uncredited.
I thought it was ironic that nobody wants to see a Spider-Man because people hate spiders.
Well, yeah, and that was Martin Goodman said that. He was the publisher of Marvel, and he had some ideas that were out of step.
Yeah.
That being one of them. Can you imagine? The Beatles almost didn't get signed. Like, guitar groups are on their way out.
Right.
That kind of thing. And they became the biggest rock and roll group ever. So
yeah, and then doing a show on rock and roll in history, there's this one DJ says rock and roll has got to go, and he smashes the record. I wonder what was he thinking was going to take over rock and roll.
I think it was a reaction because
no. What was he thinking? What music was he thinking was going to take over?
He was having a conservative view. I don't think he had he wanted to keep rock and roll from overtaking country music.
Was that?
I would say that was it. I've listened to a program about the history of country music, and a lot of country folks really despised rock and roll, and then there kind of became a mutual fandom, because rock and roll has roots in country music, and rockabilly is a thing, that it's really a nice blend of the two. So, but that sentiment existed and kind of faded, but yeah.
Right. Doesn't look like a country. I mean, Stan Freberg hated rock and roll. He was one of the most important radio personalities. Also, he made a lot of great commercials, and some famous ones too. But he despised rock and roll. And I think he liked jazz better.
Sure, a lot of people do. But
yeah,
it's one of those things. Like, people who were like really loved the '70s progressive rock were not fans of punk.
Right.
Punk was a reaction against those kind of things. The Rolling Stones, their famous quote was, "Oh, I hope we don't get pegged as a rock and roll group," because they really consider themselves a blues combo, and they got called the world's greatest rock and roll band.
Things happen strange, but
yeah.
So yes, I have heard of this story,
Yeah,
and so I'm glad I read it now, and it's pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
Not the best Kirby monster I've seen, but
a cool one.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's talk about the next story. We have another one later in the episode that's another prototype like that, and I want to have that conversation. But this story is called "Behold Him, He is the Martian," which the whole title kind of gives away the whole plot.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
The big reveal gets blown right there. But let me give the credits. Where are you? This is a reprint from Tales to Astonish, number 25 from 1961. Another one, we don't know who wrote it. It was either Stan Lee or Larry Lieber, his brother. Penciled by Jack Kirby, inked by Dick Ayers.
Yep. Looks pretty cool, man. Cool rocket ship. It actually looks cooler than the real thing back then.
Yeah.
We have an astronaut going off to Mars. And apparently...
Everyone thinks he's the greatest hero ever for going to Mars.
They let people around the rocket. Hey, and 5 feet away from the rocket. So
yeah.
And he climbs the ladder to get in. Well, I guess this is before we saw this of the Saturn V and all that stuff.
Right.
So. But
yeah, this is 61, man. So anyway.
So he's walking. So the astronaut's walking around. And this guy sees him and says, "Oh, he looks kind of weird to be an astronaut." So,
but most people are like, "Oh, what a great hero! You're so brave."
So
they love him.
Or let's see. He's also the narrator.
Okay.
Protagonist. He goes and stows away in the capsule, which is utterly impossible.
Right, but before we started sending these rockets, you didn't know that was impossible to stow away. So, but anyway. So the guy stows away with him, goes out into space.
And what a cool liftoff sequence.
It's great.
Awesome.
And they usually are great.
So he takes off the mask on his face.
The astronaut.
It's a mask, yeah. And he's a Martian spy.
Man, that's worse than a commie spy.
I don't know. Is there anything worse than a commie spy?
I don't know.
So, so the stowaway comes out and starts beating on him, and because the Martian spy is going to take over Earth, he's going back to Mars, and they're going to say, "Hey, you know how to take over Earth." So,
right.
Then
here's the real reveal.
Yeah. It's our hero is a Jovian spy.
So he was pretending to be human too, and he wanted to keep the Martians from coming to Earth so that the Jovians could conquer Earth.
Yeah.
Classic. Because he
Right.
said, "Oh, it's Earth's no good; they're too well defended, or something like that." He sent that transmission so that the Martians would hear it. Love it.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
pretty cool. So one of the things that the Martian was going to say is, "Oh, space travel's too dangerous. I'm dying." And so it's the cosmic rays.
Oh yeah. What? And okay, this is 61, 1962, or later in 61. I can't recall, but that's when we get the Fantastic Four.
Mhm.
I didn't check that date because I didn't notice this.
Oh.
But yeah,
And the guy, the Martian, looks a little bit like the Thing.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty dang cool.
Man, I did not catch that. So the next book we've got to talk about, another 70s monster reprint book. It's Where Monsters Dwell, number 15. And the lead story is Craw the Unhuman, which is a reprint from Tales of Suspense, number 18, from 1961. Note that date, please. Again, written by either Stan Lee or Larry Lieber. Penciled by Dick Kirby and inked by Dick Ayers. Did I say Dick Kirby?
Yes, you
I
did.
meant Jack Kirby.
I was astounded.
I am sorry.
You
Jack
pulled a
Kirby.
Jeff.
I did. So,
Professor is professing in a class, and the people say, "Oh, he never gets out of the classroom. He's a wimp," and all that.
yeah, like he's talking about stuff that's going on in the world, but he's never left their small town.
As if I don't know if anyone would ever say something like that. So,
Yeah.
But unless they
But
put in a show.
but it serves about the it serves as the impetus for this story.
Mhm.
So,
So he shows this creature's a little statuette of a creature, and it says, "This must be really evil." So of the Wabuzi tribe. So he goes to Africa to prove that he's a man,
yeah.
and let's see what. So he finds a guy to help him out because the tribesmen are super afraid of the Wabuzi tribe. Wabuzi country, taboo. No go Wabuzi. No, Bana. No one go Wabuzi. Alright. See, you always got to be careful of guys with pencil mustaches. And he's got it looks like he's got a cigarette holder, which is even worse.
I know.
True signs of villainy.
Right.
If you only had a monocle, then you really know. So the guy who's leading him around beats him up and steals his money and guns and all that stuff.
The professor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the professor just walks in, finds Wabuzi, sees even more statues, and then he sees these huge footprints, which are cool looking.
Yeah.
And then he sees even larger statues, and they're pretty cool too. He goes to the village, and these people are worshiping this big statue, and it's not a statue, it is
Craw the Unhuman.
Yeah, unhuman. Okay, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And so Craw's big and scary. People are throwing spears.
Mm-hmm.
He hits stuff with a tree, throws trees.
Yeah.
And he's just a big orange monster.
Yeah, and
He's
so
pretty cool looking.
Yeah, pretty. Looks kind of like a tiki man. Or something.
Yeah, he does.
He captures.
I'm sure that's on purpose.
Right. Tiki things are kind of scary.
Yeah.
He captures the professor, and then the professor gives him one last wish, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So he says, "Well, what's up with you? How did you? Who are you?" So he tells a story about these commies in Africa, and with a nuclear explosion and irradiating him, and he becomes a monster. He can beat up lions. So,
sound familiar? Sort of. Radiation makes you a monster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
No.
No.
Okay.
I didn't see that. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, but I thought I thought that was a cliche even then, but maybe not. Is this the first one that?
Oh, well, not the first one, but this one to me has lots of Hulk characteristics. This is my argument for it, and it's been made before by others, not just me, of this being kind of a prototype for the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll carry on with the story, and then we'll talk a little more about that.
So he becomes a living god, and he wants his revenge against those commies.
Yeah, but he's got all this power, but he's in pain.
Yeah. Somehow the professor knows he's in pain and knows how to fix it.
Yeah.
So he's got some kind of lotion, and he rubs to prove his manhood. Rubs lotion on the monster's back. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
But it soothes his wounds.
Yeah, and they become friends.
Yeah.
And here comes this big python attacking,
and Cross saves the professor from the python, wrestles it.
That's a big python.
Yeah.
That's huge python.
It is. But anyway, wrestles it, and they both, Craw and the guy fall, and the snake fall off the cliff. So Craw dies.
Yeah. Yeah, a good death though. So.
Yeah, he saves somebody, and Professor goes back, and he's a man now.
Mm-hmm.
Students respect him again.
Yep. So the Wambusi tribe starts making statues that look like the professor.
Wow.
Yeah. So that proves to his students that he really is a man.
Yeah.
A man with lotion.
Yeah. So before we move on, I really think that is kind of setting the prototype for the Incredible Hulk. Radiation radiates a fella, and he becomes a big monster, big super strong thing.
The problem with this is that we live with the Hulk and the Thing and the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. It is hard to imagine a world without them.
Yeah.
And so it seems obvious now. Oh, of course, but every invention was not obvious before it was invented.
Right.
And so and it when something's done makes it look easier than if something is not done. So yeah, but I think definitely, yeah, that's probably.
I think it's the antecedent to that, really, I do. And I just want to note, okay, this was from Tales to Astonish number 18 from 1961, and the Hulk number 1 was from May of 1962. So, nothing wrong with recycling an idea or improving upon it.
Yeah. I forgot, it might be Salvador Dali or something, or he said, artists borrow, great artists steal. Always like that.
There you go. Well, and Neil Adams, one of the great artists in comic books, he kind of came into the artistic world where people said, okay, real artists don't trace, they don't work from photographs, they don't copy. And he said, that's crap, because people ragged on Norman Rockwell for working from photographs. It's like, I don't have to have somebody stand there the whole time. I can get more realistic, things. It's anything that can help you improve your craft is good. Working from swipes or working from other examples helps you improve as an artist. Saying real artists don't copy or trace or doing any of that is malarkey, and it's a no good paradigm.
Although I think tracing does seem easier, but what the hell do I know?
But tracing as a method of improving,
yeah,
it's a tool.
I can see that being cheating, but yeah, it depends on who's using it.
Right.
And I'm sure that can be
in comic books. I think it's perfectly acceptable to use to work from photographs, to work from have a morgue of swipe files, to get certain expressions and poses, and develop your own style.
Yeah. I mean, what's the difference between a photograph and a living model? It's a sort of, you don't have to pay the model again.
Yeah. So yeah,
and
it's a thing.
Was Da Vinci cheating when he used a model for the Mona Lisa? Is that,
because he didn't.
You're supposed to got it on your head.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of mentality, I argue against, and I'm I can't remember where I was going with that, so we'll just move on.
So that's you think that's the beginning of the Hulk, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is really next one. Meet the Dead.
Yeah.
Really cool looking.
Yeah. Let me get the credits for that real quick. This is a reprint from Journey into Mystery number 11 from way back in 1953. So this is pre-code.
Mm-hmm.
With art by Don Perlin, another kind of forgotten artist. But I think he's nice. I think he's got some Wally Wood, Al Williamson touches that are very obvious in this, and it's very nice.
His faces aren't great, and they're serviceable, but his backgrounds are great.
His faces look a little like maybe like a George Evans.
Yeah, or very golden agey.
Yeah, I mean this is clearly aping EC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad insult to have thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but this story's about mediums and stuff, seances.
All right, so this medium is having a seance, and this guy comes in and says, "You're a fake. Look at here. We found these trappings." Because she gets somebody to appear, and she says, "I don't know where these. I don't know,
like a mask or like silly stuff,
and wires and gauze. And I know I do." So she's run out of town
on a rail.
They're all mad. Well, figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
So, she's dejected. She doesn't know what to do. So she leaves, and two of the audiences walk back, and they go to another medium's house and says, "Hey, we did the job for you." So the medium is real, but the another medium wanted her business, so kicked her out. By using two ghosts.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised.
It's not an expected thing. It's pretty cool. I like the medium that got run out on a rail. She's kind of a looker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sad. And poor thing.
Yeah, and she didn't really do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. So evil won.
Yeah.
And
actually, that is cool. Well, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's not cool that evil won. It's kind of cool that something happened that's different.
Right.
Okay.
So it's interesting. The next story we have, and I think it's the last one in the issue, is not a reprint. It was a new story commissioned for this issue, and it's called Dead Ringer, written by Mimi Gold, with art by Rich Buckler, who I think last week or the week before turned 66.
Oh, cool.
Happy birthday, Mr. Buckler. And he was kind of a rising star in comics in the 70s. He created Deathwalk, The Demolisher, and yeah.
Story not great. We have a guy who's on the death row who escaped. Which, man,
how would you escape death row? You wouldn't.
I think they did way back when, but I bet it's 70, 80 years since somebody escaped death row.
Sure.
By escaping and not with a logger.
Right.
The story is he escapes and has trouble, and his car runs out of gas. It's raining, so he talks on the telephone, and someone says, "Billy J. Lee," that's the criminal's name, "your time is almost up." And it's really scary, and he sees these two guys. They look like ghosts.
And it's raining and stuff.
Yeah, and the two guys are actually his victims who were killed, the bank guards.
Yeah.
Two of them. Man, I hardly ever see bank guards, period. So
right.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
And so he gets on the phone and he tries to get somebody, and I guess he gets God on the phone because a lightning bolt hits the
phone booth
and kills him.
Yeah.
At midnight, the time he is supposed to die.
Now, this story, super cliche.
Yeah. I've seen that about a dozen times.
Yeah, but nice art.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the storytelling, the way the panels are laid out, and the perspectives given, excellent work, Rich Buckler.
Yeah,
The
writing was good. The story, you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Actually, though, I was thinking, could it be Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
I'm sure that
You know what I'm
might
talking
play in
about?
that. Yeah, in fact, I just read that story.
Isn't that a cool story?
It is. I was just reading it at work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Also, I read, and it was in an anthology of books or of stories. I read The Lady and the Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have an ending, does it?
No.
What do you think?
I don't know. I had my ideas of what might happen as I was reading it, and it just didn't really have an ending. I'm like, okay. So just moved on in my life.
Okay, we have okay.
So now it's time to get something really scary. Woo! I know I've done that joke before, but it's good.
Yeah, I can see that.
But good enough to do again. We've got Spooky number 120. It's from Harvey Comics, and of course it's Spooky the Tough Little Ghost. Again, no credits. This issue was not indexed on comics.org, but hey, you can't have everything. But here's a story with the ghostly trio, Casper's uncles, in Uncle Beezer.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Uncle Beezer is an old ghost. As if ghosts aged.
Yeah, right.
But...
and they're going to go scaring people, and Uncle Beezer's messing things up by sneezing all the time.
Yeah, but they really love Uncle Beezer because he was a great old scarer.
Yeah, but he's retired scaring. So.
Right. But he's got hay fever, and so he's sneezing and scaring the crap out of, like, inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is weird.
He's doing all kinds of things.
Just sneezing a lot.
Yeah, and it's
and the ghostly trio are getting angry, but yeah, ragweed is causing the problem.
So he sneezes in front of ragweed. He goes into the ocean above a ocean liner. So they go back home, and he almost sneezes, but he snores instead, and then wakes everybody up. So the end.
Okay. So here's a story with Spooky, and it's called Super Spook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Spooky loves comic books. What?
Yeah.
And he loves his hero, Captain Cosmic.
That's a good name.
Yeah. And so he says, boy, wouldn't it be great to have superpowers? And so he goes hiding by a tree and meets a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
And the wizard, what's the wizard's name?
Oh, Shazook. Oh,
you see where we're going with here? It's like Captain Marvel, so Shazam. Mm-hmm. So the wizard gives Spooky powers. He makes him Super Spook. And
with special boo powers.
Yeah, which it amplifies his ghostly powers that he already has. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he ends up having to like spend all his time doing all these good deeds, saving people. And he's like, this is exhausting. This sucks.
And it ticks off Pearl.
Yeah, because he's late for dinner.
Yeah.
So he goes to the Shazook and says, take these powers away. I don't want this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is, I mean, it's an okay story. It's the best of the issue. Interesting thing is, can you have a private life if you're a superhero? And this is, I don't know.
If you had superpowers and it was your duty to help those in need, would you ever get a moment's rest?
Yeah, because people kind of suck. There's always something bad going on.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, and it's a very kind of adult subject for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Wendy the Good Witch, she gets a couple of one-pagers.
Yeah. I like Wendy. She's cute and likable.
And she's sweet, you know.
Yeah, but it's not that, it's kind of stupid.
Skip it. So, we got another story with Spooky, and what's it called? Frightfully Good Trip.
Pearl wants Spooky to help these brownie scouts, and they're actually brownies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, little elves.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees these, and he's got to take them out to the woods. So he boos, and Pearl hates his booing, but he secretly boos these creatures, and they run off, and it makes them more interesting than what they are. He makes a turtle fly. He makes bugs go fast. He makes animals come out of their hole.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have a great time. But then...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the brownies are talking about it. Yeah, we had a great time. Man, wasn't it mysterious how the way the creatures went so fast? As if something frightened them. And Pearl
puts two and two together.
And there's little thought balloon with her smacking the crap out of Spooky, which is great. I love that.
So she's mad at him.
Mm-hmm. So, and she's going to, she's almost serious. How fast she's going. Now she is going fast.
Because she's zooming off to go give Spooky what for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
So one last story in here, and it's got Casper, the friendly ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is Casper and Flimp. And this is weird.
Yeah. Some people had a dirty windshield in a car, so they see a rag, so they take the rag and clean the windshield, and it turns out to be a ghost named Flimp.
And Flimp is kind of like this ghost who looks like a baggy sheet, like he doesn't fill his sheet very well or whatever.
Yeah,
She.
I'm sorry. He heard that starches were something to be avoided, so he doesn't eat. So the wind will just blow him away.
Mm-hmm.
So
Casper's around trying to help him.
Mm-hmm. So he gets all torn up, and so Casper uses needle and thread to fix him. And Wendy comes by and feeds him.
And he fills out his suit.
But he wanted to feel like a... This is weird. He wants to feel like a cloth, so they make him into a plaid.
Yeah. That is weird.
Yeah. I don't... Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Weird.
But anyway, Casper and Wendy helped him, and how nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I was kind of... The one before was really nice, so... Okay. Yeah. I really kind of like Wendy. It's Wendy. It's those stories. It's
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see you in the funny pages next time.